drafting here for Talon, considering we are, again, in our final best of 3 of the whole qualifier. And they are still one step away from qualifying to the Riyadh Masters. You know, you're almost there, Talon. You're almost there, but you've got a bit of a juggernaut in Blacklist rivalry to try and beat out. We do now officially have draft number 1 underway, so we can head over to the draft. Banouts to make, John. I think, against Blacklist, you don't want to give him Dragon Knight, because DK's been looking too damn good. I think you've got to focus on Gabby's bans a little bit as well, because Gabby's been popping off on the Mars and the Centaur.
5 seconds remaining.
I mean, there's a lot to ban out as well. Don't forget the Zeus, of course, is completely busted, but Talon do have first pick, so they can wait for that Zeus themselves. And Blacklist, surprisingly enough, they get rid of the DK of the tier.
Yeah, it's fair. Again, these are Chuen heroes on the mid. There's a bit of an overlap there. I mean, again, Chuen, since the last patch, in the past year actually, has been playing literally nothing but DK Zeus, maybe some DP mid. Those have been pretty much his best heroes there. So it's going to be straightforward for Blacklist to take that out. I would like to see Talon to do what you were saying, right? Like, take care of the off-lane picks, to take care of the Doom already. There goes the Zeus from Blacklist with the SF. Talon, will you take care of something like the Centaur Mars? There is overlap there for WS and Gabby. So I'm keen to see what they will kind of allow through. Still a lot of options on hand on top of that as well. What's left for the first pick for Talon? We've seen them play Storm on Chuen. You don't have the SF to worry about. They ban out the Marcy in Talon. They'll go with the Phoenix first pick. Just settle for the strong support right now for Ponyo. We saw him try both facets before. I still feel like the hotspot's a little bit better. And there goes the Centaur for Blacklist. So the coverage now for Blacklist with the Centaur pickup should be something like the Mars ban. Because that is the one big solution for the Stampede. And that's the one way to stop them from just running away or running into you as well. Really good area denial. And that is something WS plays. So I'm curious if Blacklist does remember to ban out the Mars. But starting off with the Centaur is super strong. You do pick Centaur into Phoenix. You do have percent-based burn, and Ponyo is playing that in the 5. So you have some good utility for the Phoenix early on in that lane. But it's not like you get Sunray early on in laning anyhow. The first 2 levels tend to be the dive and the Fire Spirit, so you should still be in the clear for Gabby very early on. Should be perfectly manageable.
Well, what's with these Marcy bans, though? Like, why waste the ban on Marcy? That's my question here for Talon.
Again, it's scrims. It's more than likely scrims. Alright, like, we ask these questions, but when all the teams tend to do it, it's probably just information from scrims. They've let the Marcy through, they see its power, even though when we do see it picked up, it doesn't quite work out. Scrim results almost always influence these drafts a lot more, especially for heroes that seem garbage when they do get picked up. So it's just preventing anything like that from popping back in, which is fair. Again, we've seen a lot of other teams ban out Marcy, even though it hasn't been working well. So I do understand the sentiment. It's probably just scrimmages.
Fair enough. The teams certainly know more than I do. Blacklist rivalry. One more ban to go before we can see the drafts continue here. Been a big focus on the mid lane matchups here for Blacklist. They're banning out the Zeus, banning out the SF. Chuen may get another ban here his way in just a second.
If they are focusing on mids, and again allowing the Mars through, stuff like Storm, Flesh have been popular. We've seen some Puck. There's the Storm ban, so it'll take care of Chuen just playing with the static slide, just trying to clear out waves. It was a rough time for Chuen when we did see him play Storm last time, but his matchup again was pretty atrocious anyway. So I'm keen to see what options are left for Chuen, whether or not they still want something like the Puck. The Dream Coil does make sense up against the Stampede, so that could be one way to go for Talon down the line. Blacklist still looking for supports. Venomancer still an option there for Zhao if he wants it. Just very strong in lane, of course. Lots of damage to pump out. Snapfire to deal with Yegg, and they will go with a Snapfire instead. So you do have a quick way of removing the egg from the equation here for the side of Talon. And again, we've seen Ponyo have a rough time with the Phoenix beforehand. I want to see some coverage for the egg. I want to see a WS Mars. Like, I think that's the best way to go about this. Great egg protection, great team fight potential. The vision cutting is insanely strong. Just tie it in with that combination of Phoenix. It's been left in the pool.
Well, they're going to take the Bane for now, interestingly enough. And they'll go for the Slardar instead. So opting to choose Slardar over that Mars. The Bane intrigues me a little bit as well. Like, I do wonder whether they're going to run something a little bit cheeky and run like a mid Bane. You know, I mean, the flexibility is certainly there for this hero at the moment, but a very interesting kind of draft forming here from Talon, choosing to go for the Slaughter instead.
5 seconds
I'm intrigued here, John. I'm very intrigued.
It's rather curious. This should be our WS hero, maybe a Chuan hero. I like that Blacklist just go ahead, pick up a Razor and a Disruptor. They have great ways to drag back the Slaughter if he does chase in. It's a Razor into Slaughter lane. We saw this be very painful for Cox last time around, so you can't really fault Natsumi for going back into it. Again, there is some flex. This could end up being Chuan's hero mid, but he doesn't know his matchup. And I think that's the worrying thing. Without seeing the matchup, the Slaughter is... It doesn't do well with a lot of range matchups, like, say, Lina, Lesh. Can be fairly annoying for the Slaughter. So, throwing it onto WS seems like the safest bet. But into a Razor lane, it's just not comfy. A Razor Disruptor once again. Seeing Talon should have showed her hand here, it should be either the WS or Chuan hero, again, depending on how they flex the Slaughter. I would still say just go with Mars. I don't know why Talon's been avoiding that hero. It's been a little bit strange, considering how WS plays that Mars. But Mars Slaughter sounds fine enough. Again, you end up with Mars Phoenix. Your one shortcoming is Slaughter mid. But it is manageable enough if the lane matchup isn't too atrocious and you can ban to cover it. And just kind of last pick Akashi's here at this point. They are taking their time. I'm just not digging the Slaughter off lane into Razor. It just doesn't sound like a fun time.
I don't think the Mars is going to be that great either, though, into that duo.
I think it's
So it's
better
still-
at least. You have the spear back, and you have more team fight. Because if you give WS Slaughter, the only thing for team fight now for Talon on mid would be a puck pickup. And I'm not sure how highly I rate the puck overall. Like that's the only way I see this draft developing. If you will give WS Slaughter, you have to go with a Chuan puck.
I'm going to go for a Weaver pickup. I imagine that should be Akashi's hero. So they've potentially left the offlane or mid lane for the last pick. We don't know yet. See what Blacklist Rivalry do prioritize as their bans. I'm going to take a wild guess and say we're still looking for a Chuan hero. It feels like they're giving WS that Slaughter.
5 seconds
As much as I don't really like it either. It feels like that's probably the way they're going. Talon, we'll see what their bans look like. 35 seconds reserve time left for this. Surprisingly, heroes like the Axe and the LC were still there as well. Neither of those have been touched.
Yeah, but neither one is really looking for a full off lane. Again, Talon could, if they'll give Chuan Slaughter, but you could do something cheeky in Blacklist, give Abed Razor mid, you still end up with a really strong lane for the Razor. They will ban out the puck here on Talon's end, so opting to just remove it as a tool for Blacklist. Blacklist, it's down to how they read us. Do they see some flex for Chuan? Are they more worried about other heroes on mid for Chuan? And they are. They ban out Lina and Kotl, other Chuan specialties. What does that really leave left for Talon? Something like Leshrak, which is kind of fine, but again, it's very reminiscent of what TNC ran in their own game, right? They had Slaughter Lesh into a Razor. Natsumi had a fantastic time once BKBs were up. Talon, what other things from Abed are you worried about? There's a cheeky OD pick. I don't think it's really necessary for Blacklist. That still stands out. Take care of the Timbersaw instead. Again, maybe Flux on Razor mid.
I think you could just take the Lesh for Blacklist. It feels pretty good at the moment. I mean, Talon, they might have a bit of a some kind of secret card up their sleeve here, but I think if you are Abed, Lesh seems perfectly fine. You do need some tower push. You do need a bit of team fight. It doesn't really feel too bad. Unless they want him to play a bit more of a carry style of mid. But you don't have options like the TA. Talon are going to go for their pick, and it will be a Primal Beast to come out for themselves. So it does seem like they are maybe just going to give Chuan... No, in fact, they could give the Primal Beast over to WS as well. Because against the Razor matchup, at least you have a semi-decent way out.
There is some flex here for Talon. It's a very durable lineup with Primal Beast Slaughter. It's very single target control heavy outside of the Slytherin Crush. I don't know how you protect this egg very safely. The Snapfire is already going to run it down. The Razor can kind of do it if the Fire Spirits don't land and he gets a BKB up. You're going to have to use Pulverize on him. I feel like Talon is going all in on like this minus armor, really tanky front line with Slaughter Primal Beast. They have some saves under support. They have good sustain for all of these frontline tanks as well with a Sunray, especially if you take the hotspot. I just feel like Blacklist teamfight is already better, just with Disruptor Snapfire. You get the Kinetic Field, Static Storm on top with the Kisses there. You can start these fights with a Centaur. You can get in position with a Stampede. It just feels a lot easier for Blacklist to consider like the 20-minute plus fights when everyone's starting to group up. For Talon, the pickoffs are looking a lot stronger. If they can hit these timings with initial blink and tank items for the Primal Beast, some like Eternal Shroud, Blade Mail for the Primal Beast, and he should be set to go. Blacklist seeing the Primal Beast or the Slaughter mid, I mean, that Leshrac still stands out here. It still lanes decently into both, maybe not as much into the Primal Beast, but shouldn't be too bad either way. OD actually sounds really good here, just because no one is high mana on Talon. Like 2 Strength Cores, pure damage. You can kind of save as well with Imprisonment. Oh, Razor mid.
Alright, they'll go for the Naga Siren, so Razor mid for Arbin, which still obviously works pretty well against the Slaughter or Primal Beast, doesn't really matter which one. So Natsumi's going to go for his classic Naga Siren. I mean, both drafts look pretty fine to me. Chuen's going to take the Primal Beast, so he's going to have a nice way of escaping the Static Link of Arbit. WS does pick up the Slaughter, but he's not going to have to be too concerned about his laning stage anymore. Much easier time against the Naga Siren, I would argue, here for WS. I still like the Blacklist draft a lot better. I mean, I think it just kind of covers all the bases much better than what Talon have got, but yeah, it's not looking too bad for Talon either, John. I think it could be a very interesting game one.
I think Talon have to play in a very specific way. They've got to take these early fights, like 10 to 20 minutes, get quick blink timing in WS, get that quick Blade Mail or Eternal Shroud on Chuen, if not an outright BKB, to sustain through the fights and kind of connect together for like 10 to 20 minutes while Natsumi's still trying to build up. If they miss that timing, this Naga Siren could scale up into a really big beast. You hit this Blink BKB timing that Gabby's going to be able to play with. You hit this Manta timing for Abed with BKB, and he can just run in, have a lot of good sources for the Static Link if you fully commit first from Talon. It just feels like it's easier to execute Blacklist draft. And it's really funny seeing this kind of draft, Mike. Centaur Disruptor Naga. It feels like something that we've been casting since the start of our casting careers when we were covering China. Yeah. Again, the more things change, the more they stay the same. This combination is still strong. It still does a lot. I can't believe we're seeing it again in 2024. But it works. I will say, one quick comment. I think Tim's Toad on Snapfire looks horrendous. What is that?
It is a pretty disgusting toad. I was seeing double of those toad as well, which was even worse. Might be an ice frog, Jonathan. Maybe that's what it is.
Ah, yeah, that is true. That is true. I didn't think ice frogs would spit lava. And maybe the cosmetic changes that as well. I've never seen it.
No, we haven't, Jonathan. We might see it now, hopefully. So we do get into game number 1. Again, the winner of this best-of-3 series does make it straight through to the Esports World Cup, Riyadh Masters, whatever you want to call it. It's all there. A lot of money on the line, of course. A lot of pride on the line. So the Good Luck Have Funds are coming out. Just hope for a good series here. I mean, the team, could make some waves here at the Riyadh Masters. It doesn't bother me which one makes it, Jonathan. I just want to see a good series here.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Again, Talon looked shaky yesterday. Blacklist looks great today. It's really more of a testament to how well can Talon reset. Because I think Blacklist have already proven their point against TNC. They look sharp. They coordinate as a team well. They have Gabby with a workhorse if he gets it for free. Trying to save Natsumi from throwing. That seems to be the key. Maybe if GeekFam had an off lane, maybe if Cox on GeekFam played Centaur and got Ags, things could have been different. Sorry about throwing you under the bus there, John Anthony Vargas. Do apologize. Kuya John. Sir Natsumi.
Oh, poor old Natsumi, eh?
Cops the short end.
You say I've been hearing and Natsumi's been getting a lot of offers recently, Jonathan. I think he's doing just fine. Don't you worry, sir. Gavi. It's going to be a 2-for-2 trade on the bounties. A nice even start here between these two teams. Tips out from Abed onto Chuen, which is a bit of a rare sort of thing we see from Abed. He doesn't tip very often, but he's already started here against Chuen.
Yeah, something a little bit rare. And both of them were going for the high fives on each other, but end up high-fiving their towers as well. This mid lane for Abed should be fairly straightforward. Not the hardest thing in the world, as you do have a good static link target. Chuen, of course, down the line will have the onslaught to disengage. Doesn't want to commit for that level 1, of course. And at the very least, level 1 static link, not a big threat. It still has some play, so should be fairly even trading mid. I would say as levels go up, it should be a little bit better for Abed, as long as he times his static link usage and prevents the onslaught escape from Chuen, kind of baits him into using that earlier, you are in a pretty decent spot as a Razor. But if the Primal Beast gets on top of you, having you force out the static link earlier, then it is Primal Beast. A very easy lane for the Primal Beast as well. Rune control should be a little bit easier for Chuen at least with the onslaught. We'll see how much they commit onto that mid down the line. Not the biggest deal for both sides, maybe a little bit more important for Chuen, but even Abed is going for the bottle to keep that spell spam up as well. Still have some time to look at the other lanes. Up top, we've got Akashi and the Weaver with Ponyo on that Bane, up against Gabby and Tims on the good old Centaur Snapfire lane. A lot of stuns coming out here for the side of Blacklist. Ponyo can be quite a nuisance though. He did go for the Dreamstalker facet, so not the Sleepwalking one. Does have a lot of damage to pump out during Nightmare, but it is a support Bane, so you're not really going to be scaling up that well. Good hoof stomp, good wards early on here from Blacklist to punish Akashi. No clear from Ponyo.
Yeah,
Does have the sentry ready at least.
We'll use it now, I think, and does eventually find the sentry ward. So a nice little pick off there from Ponyo. Of course, down at bottom lane, you're going to have WS and Jokam against Januel and Natsumi. And I think WS is quite thankful he's actually going to have himself a decent laning stage here on the Slaughter. Thing is, Natsumi's not going to suffer too much either on the Naga. Like, Jokam can be as annoying as he wants, but it does feel like the Naga Siren's still going to have a pretty damn good time. And of course, Natsumi, this is basically one of his favorite heroes, so knows the hero like the back of his hand. Should be a pretty decent kind of game, I'd imagine, for this Naga Siren.
Yeah, at the least, a very playable lane for WS. They've already expended almost all of Zhao's mana as well. He does manage to top up, but doesn't have as much spell uses left. Jokam's doing a great job of forcing all of that attention onto himself and give WS a 1v1 lane, which, you know, it's not the comfiest against the Naga with a Riptide, but also is a lot more manageable without the additional Thunderstrike to hunt him down. So far in laning, a little bit even across the board. No one really getting a big advantage. Both the carries maybe falling a little bit behind. Tims.
A spot of danger. It's going to be okay. Gabby was there to protect him. Trying to be as aggressive as possible here top lane on Talon. Like Akashi and Ponyo desperately trying to get the damage off onto the Snapfire, but it seems like Tim's going to be just fine. And as the levels do ramp up, maybe you've got a bit of a higher chance of finding these kills, but Blacklist Rivalry's offlane generally is pretty good at just not dying.
That it is. Gabby's been pretty fantastic. Does have the double bracers up. 1.2k HP. What's up?
Time to reconnect to the game. There we go.
It happens.
Oopsie daisies. It does happen.
No pawns for the obs. No pawns for the obs as well. Unfortunately.
So things get scary and you've got to hope that we can actually reconnect to the game. There we go.
Still, again, very even start across the board. A little bit better for Blacklist, but marginally so. CS is still rather even. You are starting to suffer on Chuen's lane. Abed is starting to eke out the lead, so it is getting a little bit harder to manage for the Primal Beast, but that's somewhat to be expected as the levels go up. With the Plasma Field to safely harass, it's fairly hard for Chuen to commit, of course, to just trample in, as the static link is always a possibility from Abed. They do have a lot of wards watching mid. Double wards on Talon just to watch the triangle and cliff area. Same thing goes for Blacklist, watching around the river and the entrances. So they don't want any sneaking around. Ponyo.
Yeah, and a big bit of trouble here. Ponyo, he'll go for the Nightmare. The cookie's off the mark! Oh, no. They do find Gabby first. Now Tim's going to have to try to run as Akashi will start dishing out the damage. Of course, Tim's will be just fine, but Or Gabby maybe just not anticipating the cookie to come here from Tim's, and it does cost him his own life.
And it does. Really good Nightmare as well coming out there from Ponyo to stall out a little bit more. And a nice kill for Akashi to find. And that does boost the Weaver's presence just a little bit more. Faster power treads, maybe the Falcon Blade into Javelin timing as well. Will clear out the sentry. Tims.
Oh, Tim's. You know, cookie down to the low ground. He's going to be okay. Weren't quite within range to get the Nightmare off here on Ponyo. Well, bottom lane, seems like Zhao and Joe Cam are going to find each other, but a nice little glimpse back on the Phoenix is going to ensure the Disruptor doesn't take too much damage. As now mid lane, Arbit taking a lot of damage on that Razor. Chuen trying to be as aggressive as possible now on the Primal Beast, but unable to quite finish off the job.
We'll buy him some space to at least clear out one creep wave for free, leading into faster level 6. So he will be able to threaten with Pulverize soon. And the phase boots aren't too far off for Chuen as well. That additional armor, the little bit of chase down with the additional move speed is going to be a massive help as well. Unfortunately, it does get the haste rune on top of it. So the Primal Beast can start to set up, if not on the Razor, then onto the side lanes. Abed, just looking to sneak away with a bounty rune, will walk under the Watcher. So she can't make any further movements out. And again, a nice little start on mid for Chuen. Just having the haste, having the phase boots coming in, could try to look for some play across the map. It just doesn't feel like the sidelines are really ready, right? Like, you've got the Slaughter stuck at 4, your supports are, you know, at around about where you'd expect. You wouldn't really want to force it onto a Centaur either, so maybe your best bet is just a solo kill on mid, although Chuen is rotating. There is good vision, though.
Yeah, there absolutely is. Chuen not going to be able to sneak in here. He's already been caught under that Observer Ward. Blacklist Rivalry, they are waiting on the high ground. They want to go for the fight, and Gabby's just going to casually stun them both up. Oh boy, I mean, Talon find out the hard way that they are not getting that Wisdom Rune. Oh, easiest stun of Gabby's life.
These wards from the side of Blacklist. Again, it's been pretty on point in the last series. This ward already paying off as well, watching by the ramp. The angle Chuen takes, just not a good one at all. Even Ponyo already spotted out earlier as well. Severely punished by the side of Blacklist. 3-1 off the back of those 2 kills. Securing their own wisdom and allowing a little bit of bounce back or a little bit of more gains for Abed. Some room to play down mid. Not quite enough to push. That is one shortcoming of the Blacklist draft. Push potential isn't the quickest until the Nog is there to shove out lanes for you. They are chasing Gabby, but does just TP away. Triple bracers up. 1.5k HP at 8 minutes in. Seems very nice.
Middle lane. Chuen, glimpse back is going to be there. Still okay though. He's a tanky boy here on the Primal Beast, and the help is incoming. WS coming in from the tier 1 tower, going to move on to Genuals. They get the Pulverize onto Tims. Tims will drop. Zhao will drop. And Arbet, he's been held down here by a Nightmare. They don't have the Fiend's Grip yet, but they have plenty of control for the Razor. And Arbet is gone. 3 down for the side of Blacklist Rivalry. All off the back of trying to secure a kill onto this Primal Beast, but Chuen was just too tanky.
I like this read from WS to show up on mid as well. Double bracers on him. Also at a pretty high amount of HP on the strength. Power treads at 1.4k. Just needs to leverage that early corrosive haze. Can't really get action down bot, so we'll make it happen on mid. They are starting to surround that bot. It does feel like any lane that you connect Zhao and Tims on is a very high kill probability lane, considering how much control there is on Blacklist with a glimpse back in the cookie. See if it does pay off. Chuen does bottle up.
They are going to find the Primal Beast here. The cookie is actually going to save from Tims. It's Chuen, maybe going a bit too far. He's going to try to onslaught, but gets ensnared here by Natsumi. No survival now as the Stampede is popped to try and chase any stragglers. They could find WS on the slider, but he's moving a little bit too fast. So instead, nothing else will come out of it, but they get a huge kill on the Primal. And that's going to allow Blacklist to slowly start to work on towards that bottom tier 1 tower if they so wish. Which they do not.
And they can just hang back and farm, relieve some of the pressure on Natsumi. He's had a pretty free lane regardless. The Naga about to hit that Yasha timing into the Manta can start to really accelerate and farm, as we know Natsumi loves to do. For now, you are getting a lot more out on Akashi. He does have that early Javelin, so he is looking to make a play onto the mid.
Blacklist rivalry. They're going to show up. Power Ring going to go the way of Chuen.
Tower is under attack.
This Weaver is farming very effectively. Like, Akashi's found a hell of a lot of farm here on this Weaver. I mean, Natsumi's not too far behind, to be fair, though. In fact, he overtakes now the net worth board. And as time goes on, the Naga Siren, of course, is going to just escalate a lot quicker. It's just the nature of the hero. Not much you can do about slowing that down.
I think the big thing down the line as well for Talon is how to deal with all of those Naga illusions once the farm is up on Natsumi. The Manta is the start. Probably something like the Heart down the line is going to make things massively annoying for the side of Talon. Perhaps maybe an Ags on Chuen helps to clear out those illusions. Does feel like one direction they can go to get some clear, as doesn't feel like they're going to have a lot. The Maelstrom and Akashi can do some things as well with the bounces, but not enough to really instantly clear out what Natsumi will be trying to do later on. We shall see. Still a little bit of a slower pace. You are inching into the level 6s of the supports. You've got level 6 up on Tim's and on John Yuel, all nice and ready. So Static Storm Kisses are set to go. They are still lining up in a nice area, but there are wards now from Talon in the same spot, so they do spot out the double supports, and Akashi just back to farming right behind, way behind, between the tier 1, tier 2, playing it safe. I do like this understanding from the side of Blacklist to play aggressively with these level 6s, but with the same ward spot, it is tricky. These wards right by the ramp can be quite a nuisance. Smoke under it as well.
Bottom tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Well, smoke into the mid lane. Again, was under vision, so it's not going to be too much of a surprise here for Talon. They'll even scan it out, just to really ensure they know exactly where they are. Though Chuen going to get glimpsed back here by Zhao. By his tier 1 tower, so he's still safe. Though Tims will move on to the high ground, but does decide better of it and backs their way out again. There's no action to come, so don't you worry. We'll reconnect rather soon, and everyone will get to see that literally nothing's happened.
Yep. Just a lot of poking and prodding. Smoke does not pan out from Blacklist. The ward from Talon this time paying off. And it's back to a little bit more of that farm game. It's hard to tell who the farm benefits. On face value, it should be Blacklist. And you've got the Naga Siren just scaling into the Manta for free. No contest onto Natsumi whatsoever. You are getting room out for WS to find his blink timing. Blade Mail is fully done on Chuen. So it should be into something like the Eternal Shroud, if not the BKB afterwards. Or maybe a Kai Sanj if he's feeling cheeky. Or a Yules if necessary here for Chuen. Shall see. Level 6s are up on all supports. So both sides do have some play. But neither side are really finding the angle for play. Talon taking more of a backseat overall compared to Blacklist, again, with that smoke out. Again, it does feel like this is highly beneficial for Blacklist anyhow, with the Naga Siren. You really don't mind at all. They will try to move out now. The smoke from Chuen and Ponyo. I'm not sure if that was under Cliff Ward.
Akashi! He'll time-lapse, he's alright. Talon will move in to help out Akashi in case he needs it. Here comes Chuen. He's going to catch out Zhao, but the song has been popped. Natsumi just wants to leave, or do they? They want to try and turn up the WS. They'll pop the Static Storm right on top of the Slider's head. The Sunray and Egg going to try and save his life, but it seems as though they will drop. No, they won't. The Nightmare WS. He's going to make it out. Tims and Zhao the ones down. Now Arbit to get jumped. Arbit. He will drop to Bird. Natsumi trying to get out of there, but there's no escape. Talon going for a little bit more now, chasing down Gabby, though Gabby will be fine, but no, he won't. WS jumps back in, finds another, and Tims just brought back. Tims is down.
God. Oh my goodness, that looked really awkward for Talon to start. The angles coming in, Akashi being spotted through the gate. It felt really awkward, but then the spell usage from Blacklist was also really awkward. Glimpse back with a song, allowing a little bit of distance reset there for Chuen, giving some time for Talon to replan that attack. Jokam does die in the egg, but that distracts. Talon managed to break that fight into a series of almost 1v1s. In such a tight spot, it felt like Blacklist should have been able to leverage that Static Storm a lot better, should have been able to find a position for better kisses from Tims, but it was way too close to each other. They want to play slightly spaced apart from Blacklist, and they were all too clumped up. And again, very staggered spell use out. Talon just basically breaks it into a set of almost 1v1s. And that's where this lineup shines. Individual control, single target control. AoE control, it's not as great. But they forced that focus of Blacklist to be so split apart they couldn't burst anyone down.
Very rough kind of affair now for Blacklist Rivalry. I think the initial Static Storm on WS kind of messed them up because they had the option for Akashi. They didn't take that option, and WS actually survived the whole time thanks to a nightmare out at the last second from Ponyo. And now 4K behind is Blacklist Rivalry. Talon officially in the lead for this game 1 for the first time. Smoke up as 2 up to the top lane. WS and JoeCam going to start to join their mid. See if they can find Chuen and Ponyo. Now lines are being drawn out. They seem to want to keep going south. But they might find Arbed here. Arbed on the Razor just casually farming by himself, but it looks like he may have been spotted. Kashi will rush over, but they'll barely miss out. The Razor able to make it out in time. Very close call as well, because you do have the Gleipnir available on Akashi. There's nothing to purge that off from Arbed at the moment. Though he is very close to the Manta style now, but did not have it at that second. It's Blacklist Rivalry. They're going to smoke up as 3, but they've already lost their mid-tier 1 tower. So there's not really much to defend any longer. They could look for a straggler, but everyone from Talon's already left. Nobody's left to really try and pick off here for Blacklist.
They did see Chuen under vision, but they could try a flank into the triangle. Not the most secure area for Talon. No wards to spot entry points. There are wards, but under the smoke, not going to matter as much. See if Chuen manages to back off.
We're just going to see Natsumi. He'll go for the onslaught, but it was a very short range onslaught. It's now the Static Storm.
The egg?
Dropped right onto Chuen's head. Chuen is down. A nice egg, but they're just going to leave. Blacklist, they pop the Stampede and they run away. Just out of range of the egg from JoeCam. And Chuen, he actually had the opportunity to onslaught away, but he thought he could go for a quick kill onto Natsumi. And sadly, realized the hard way that Natsumi was not quite alone.
This ward giving him the false confidence to be secure in that area, not expecting the smoke. Again, right around a ramp area on the mid bot jungle area. And the perfect angle for Blacklist to find. You managed to get some good punish. Still, Talon maintained that 4K lead, but again, you're getting a lot of room out for Natsumi. Orchid being finished up here on the Naga Siren. We've got the Blink Blade Mail up on Gavi. And Abed does have that full Manta style up, so the Gleipnir is not going to be as effective any longer. They will find Tim's, not the biggest kill in the world, but a pick-off you will take for WS to scale into that BKB. Blacklist not going to mind too much. Again, they're getting so much room out for this Naga. And I still question if you have enough as the Naga grows bigger here for Talon to kind of contend with. We'll find out down the line. Still some big spikes.
Gabi's very low on HP already. The chase is on. Gabi will drop. The song will be committed by Natsumi, but he's caught nothing. He has caught absolutely nothing. Gabi is just playing on the edge with low HP, but he ends up paying for it.
That opens up Roshan for Talon as well with a Slaughter and Weaver. And the amp damage rune. Not going to take too long for them to wipe this one out without Gabi. This is not something you can easily clear yourself into on the side of Blacklist. They will find a forward vision set up by Talon. They know the general area they're in. And again, no Centaur to be worried about for a few more seconds. It's going to take time for TP in. A nice freebie for Talon to build off of. Akashi with his aggression. Really good to see that coming out from his carry. Knowing the limits of that Weaver and how early it does spike out. With a maxed out Geminate attack, the output is still ridiculous, despite the Centaur being so durable. You hit that point now where you've got the BKB on Chuen. You should have your BKB on WS in just about 200, 400 more gold, not too far off. And you can start to consider bigger fights. You can start to consider movements onto tier 2s. Still Blacklist, playing as a unit. Still have all their ultimates ready here, outside of Song.
Yeah, but they're not going to find anything. I think they're probably just better off buying more time for themselves at the moment. Natsumi's certainly not at the stage in the Naga Siren where she can really start to join the team and, you know, be that big carry you're looking for. Akashi, on the other hand, he's very close to the full BKB being up. WS will pick up his own BKB now, so the Slider going to feel a lot safer in the middle of these fights. And once you've got Akashi's BKB, it certainly feels like it's time to go once again for Talon. Especially with the net worth advantage they have gained for themselves. So now we'll have the free shards out for WS off the back of that Tormentor. Yeah, I think they can just go. BKB up on Akashi, you just smoke up and start running at Blacklist.
Yeah, triple BKB timing is going to be big for Talon. Again, they've got much better egg positioning coming out from Jokam this time around as well in comparison to what we saw from Ponyo. They're setting up some forward vision now as well. See where Ponyo decides to drop his ward. The Watcher is there to watch his movement though, so not going to be as easy. Won't bother. Blacklist are avoiding, just trying to be annoying towards Akashi. That does send him back down. Back to the base at the least, so not quite farming as safely. And they know they're split up on Talon's end. So Blacklist could start hunting. There is a smoke out from Talon though.
The thing is, Talon are just connecting back to their Weaver. They'll just head back through the twin gates, up towards that top lane, and of course, yeah, if Natsumi gets spotted, he is probably just as good as dead, because there's plenty of BKBs to work through the song, and Natsumi is now caught, though. No, a nice mirror image. He jukes out the initial stunt, jukes out another one, but it's not going to matter too much if the chase does continue. He'll pop the song, but Akashi's in the chase with the BKB, and he is dead. Natsumi is down. He had some great dodges with the Manta and the mirror images, but it just wasn't enough in the end, as now Chuen wastes his BKB, trying to avoid the glimpse back. Not the biggest deal in the world, though. They're still going to go after that tier 2 top tower, and they've already found Natsumi.
Yeah, they find a big target they want. Akashi going to try to solo a Tormentor with just a bug and a Corrosive Haze. Shouldn't take too long. Are trying to regroup as they've found Gabby on a cliff.
Uh-oh. Gabby?
He's knocked down.
He went for a T-ward. I mean, Gabby's definitely dead. Not 100% sure what the idea was. As Akashi now is going to find Tims at the top lane. Tims is down.
Yeah. Kills across the map for Talon. Big kills to find, especially on Gabby. Akashi's still playing forward. He does have Aegis for a minute and a half. I'll TP out now. They do have the forward vision here from Blacklist, and dropped by Tims right before dying. It's not going to amount to much. Talon, 10k lead now, 6-15. Aegis, not that much time left. They haven't been able to really pressure onto the tier 2s, but they have taken some good fights. And again, slowing down this farm that Natsumi's trying to scale up into. We'll see if they can get anything more. Not that much time left on the Aegis. You are going to hit some bigger timings lining up. 2N going for the Eternal Shroud. Ags coming out for WS. Akashi still very open in his own build. Could opt for more damage if he feels the need. A Linken's doesn't sound too bad here either. So still lots of ways to go with a Weaver still. Threatening on mid just a bit.
I mean, Akashi's showing himself happily. Like, there's no real fear of him dying. Still 35 seconds on the Aegis as well, so he would happily invite a team fight if it were to come. Now, bottom lane, WS just going to get started on that tier 2 tower. Meanwhile, Chuen going to show on the mid lane. Tims is going to show up as well, but it won't amount to too much.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
They do smoke up. Talon want to start moving for another fight. Heading up towards the top lane. Arbet is on the far left side of the map. And he's going to retreat. A scan does catch Natsumi's mirror images. Pings are coming out towards the far north where Natsumi is actually farming. Well, Ponyo and Jokam are right around the corner. Natsumi, though, heading back towards the top lane. Ponyo, he's got vision, I think, of the Naga. I think he spotted him. He'll try for Zhao instead. Zhao's going to glimpse away the Phoenix, but has been left behind to just die. Though he does manage to protect his Naga Siren, so Natsumi at the very least does manage to get his way out of that scenario.
Yeah, and he finishes up that full heart. So these illusions going to be a lot tankier. Mind you, it's not as tanky as you'd expect. 2.4k HP is still somewhat manageable when the damage output does come in. They're clumping around bot. Chuen is flaying very far forward here.
Now Gabby going to get pulverized on the Centaur. They'll still try to fight back with the Stampede, but Schwen's got him. Arbed trying to drain as much damage as the Primal Beast as possible as Arbed. Forced to BKB TP away, is barely going to make it out, but Natsumi cannot do the same. He'll pop the song. He'll try to get out that way, but WS has his number. The BKB will last long enough. Natsumi is down. I mean, it just feels like they're not communicating here, Blacklist. It's everyone on a different page. They will lose another. Talon completely having their way with Blacklist rivalry.
That they are. It's a little bit shocking to see Blacklist so disconnected this time around, considering what we saw in their matchup up against TNC. It looks shaky. It almost looks like that first series we saw from them when they were knocked down into the lower bracket by Bleed. It's a little bit odd. You know, this is the one thing with Blacklist. The consistency can be a little bit hit or miss, especially in comparison to other teams. Big wins coming out from Talon. Again, breaking that fight into almost individual skirmishes. We'll find another tier 2 for the Troubles. Are lining up for more with Chuen. Good forward vision here.
Up in. Can he get away? WS, he's going to catch him, but he does get the cookie away thanks to Tims. So Arbed does remain alive, but they will lose Tims in the meantime as Akashi, he'll find the mid-tier 2 tower. Running right into Gabby in a second as well, down at this bottom lane. Gabby just committed his blink. Gabby is pretty far out. Akashi gonna get going. They'll silence him up. The BKB was there. Gabby is the one to fall by the looks of it, as they will take him down. Arbed is still trying to sap away the damage of WS, and he might have his way with the Slaughter, but here comes Chuen trying to find Arbed. Can he get the Pulverize? Arbed trying to run. Almost there's Chuen. They'll get the Fiend's Grip. They'll find the Razor with the Pulverize, but he's just so tanky. He'll still make it out. Chuen is still chasing with the Onslaught. He'll connect. And with the Trample, they will get the kill, but Gabby's going to buy back. He'll move back into the fight. Chuen's gone too far this time, but he's quite a tanky boy himself. But it won't be enough. He is dead.
That's a 3 for 3 in the end. With a buyback coming out, okay.
And not out of the woods yet either. Natsumi has already committed the ensnare, so the Jokam Phoenix will be just fine. Still pings are coming out. Gabby's going to find him on the Phoenix. Jokam, no Icarus dive for another 5 seconds. He does have Akashi around, but Akashi does not want to risk his life as Talon have now officially lost 4 heroes.
A big swing for Blacklist back, just off the back of that last fight. It's a 3k gold swing towards the side of Blacklist. It does cost the buyback on Gabby, but the kill on Jokam does help the cause. Talon have to be a little bit cautious about jumping in like that, especially if they're focusing on Gabby. It just takes a little bit too long to kill him off and to kill off Abed. They are also willing to just give Abed all the damage off the Slaughter and the Primal Beast, and it is causing issues for the follow-up fight, considering just how much output Abed can have while his VKB is up and running. So we'll have to respect all of those options here for Talon. They are still starting to clump up top. They are aware Roshan is up. It's going to be there for a minute and a half still. You have the option for a nice quick Rosh. Scan does spot that out, that movement from Talon, but Blacklist are not in position to contest Rosh. Rosh number 2, Aegis Cheese, looking to go the way of Talon as well. Again, doesn't take too long with Corrosive Haze and the bugs. And Blacklist just, again, too far off to contest. They will find themselves an amp damage rune at the least, and they can try to threaten elsewhere, but this should give Talon the confidence to keep running and gunning as they have been.
Yeah, I mean, there's still one outer tower left here for Blacklist rivalry, so I think Talon could just go for the top tier 2 tower. That's definitely where they'll look to start. Whether they go high ground or not is a different question entirely, because they might feel like they need to just address some lanes.
Top tower is under attack.
Or they may just want to fight before they try for high ground. In fact, they are going to go for a fight now, because you've got a 3-man smoke here from Talon.
Sumi.
They're going to find Tims on the Snapfire, and Natsumi's right by his side. Oh, Natsumi, he might be the one to get spotted first. WS jumps in, they've got the stun. Chuen getting the Pulverize, the Fiend's Grip as well, locking down the Naga. Here comes Arbed, they're going to try and help out, but Natsumi cannot survive. They will have to just trade with Ponyo. But now the chase is on for Arbed. They would love themselves a Razor. If Akashi can get some vision, that is. But it seems as though he will not. as Tim's in the meantime will also die to Joe-Cam.
Yeah, gets knocked up into the wrong spot. Good punishment coming out from Talon. Off the back of the Aegis, they still find a tier 2 top. So the high ground is certainly a possibility if they felt confident enough. Mind you, there is still stong for the high ground defense of Natsumi. Respawn isn't going to be too far off. Half a minute. Should be enough time for a tier 3, but with Fortify, they can stall out for a little bit longer. Daedalus up on Akashi can rip these heroes to shreds. They spot one more.
They have found Gabby. Gabby's a big deal. You really can't afford to lose this Centaur. He does not have buyback available. He bought back earlier, or bought back rather, as he will go down, and that might just be high ground. I mean, Talon should at least have 1 Rax in the books now. Maybe even 2 with the 70 seconds without the Centaur.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
There goes your mid-tier 3 tower. I think for Blacklist, they're in dire straits without their Centaur to initiate. They can't do it with just the Naga Disruptor.
No.
So they'll have to wait for Gabby to try and defend this high ground, but that should mean 2 lanes of barracks to drop, as they are getting prepared as well for the bottom lane of barracks already. Akashi will finish the mid-racks, and he's on to the bottom. They even already found Natsumi. WS just sending some warning shots out here against the Naga Siren, but unable to claim the kill quite yet.
No, they still have room for this tier 3. Oh, Tims?
Oh, Tims. Yeah, Tims just going down before the fight even breaks out there. He is going to buy back. And oh, that's a song. That is a big song. Static Storm will come out. That's an Ag Static Storm to boot. They're all muted. They can't use their items here, but Natsumi's still dropping. The healing is just too much. Natsumi, Ratsu. They will save for now, and what a stunning from Gabby. Gabby takes down Chuen. Natsumi is still down. Maybe they can take Akashi a second time, but Akashi, he'll take down Tims with him. Can he get the Weaver out? Oh, WS. What a stun. Finding 2 targets. Akashi's alright for now. Abed is not. He'll get back to the fountain though. Akashi, he got glimpsed back. Akashi's gone. Joe-Cam is gone a boot. They will protect their high ground.
They hold on. Talon diving very deep in the follow-up fight. Really great Static Storm setup there. The Naga Disruptor combination kicking in with that Ags up and Zhao. More than enough to take control on Talon. The healing is overwhelming, but Talon overcommit on the follow-through instead of backing off, dragging that fight away from the egg pop, and causes all sort of issues. Again, just great identification from Natsumi and Zhao. That's the coordination we've been looking for from Blacklist. Talon, they still maintain that 10k lead, but they are swinging a ton of gold every time. 5k gold swing for Blacklist off of the back of that fight. The butterfly for Natsumi not too far off. Going to cause some DPS issues and trying to focus now on the Naga now. And Talon need to be disciplined. Still have that advantage. Roche, half a minute away. Well, 3.5 minutes away until we see the respawn. And that gives plenty of time for Blacklist to try to force something out here. Instantly smoking out with Zhao and Gabby, trying to take this angle from bot. If they catch a fight outside the high ground, opens up a quick potential into their own siege, onto tier 2s, into threatening tier 3s here.
Well, looks like Talon are just going to hold their ground here by the tier 2 bottom tower, but Blacklist rivalry with a 5-man smoke, they want a big fight. They might just have their way with it as well. I mean, WS is hanging by the tree line right now. He breaks the smoke of Gabby. Do they realize? They do eventually. Gabby, he'll jump in by the tier 2 tower, finding himself a slider, but WS is still perfectly fine to be able to back his way out. As Blacklist rivalry, they commit quite a lot to start that fight, but they get nothing out of it. Stampede popped. Blacklist rivalry, they will run. Just a quick stampede to retreat. The chase is still on from WS, and he's going to find himself a disruptor. So Zhao will drop. Talon will 4-man smoke off the back of that. See if they can find any more.
These team fights for Blacklist without Zhao Yuel's Ags upgraded Static Storm is pretty difficult. If they find an opportunity, maybe even force out the buyback from Zhao earlier than he'd like, could provide the advantage for Talon to feel a little bit more secure in this game. Again, they're not in a bad position in Talon, but they have bled a lot of gold back to Blacklist. Do you have to be a little bit cautious as it goes forward. I love that read from WS. He had the shield rune, he could cop through. He forced out the static link, so it's gone and blinked away. Like, he knows the limits of that shield rune on the Slardar. Very busted, just because damage on barrier doesn't stop blink. Although, WS...
Getting the jump, or rather Abed is getting the jump. WS, though, still perfectly fine. They will not try to initiate on the Razor. The Talon still a lot of patience. Maybe just having to wait for the next Roshan to really try to go high ground again, but Blacklist Rivalry, they are not going to wait that long. They're going to smoke up as 5. Through the top lane they'll go. Pings are coming out towards where Talon are, but it's still a long stretch of land they have to kind of walk across before they get there. Right through the dire jungle is where they'll have to go. Problem is, you would be playing into the wards of Talon, so it's not really a position you want to fight in as Blacklist Rivalry. It looks like that's going to be about it. I mean, they don't find the angle, they don't really find the fight they wanted. They will at least be in a position where they control the Roshan pit. And Roshan will tell us when it's going to respawn in 25 seconds. Here comes the rest of Talon.
Forward vision here as well.
Jump is there, Gabby. He's going to find himself a Bane, and Ponyo is down. A nice start.
All off this vision. Again, really good wards. Find a pick off. Make it a little bit less safe for Talon to consider Roche. They'll want to wait for that respawn. They'll want to wait for the grip to really get that hold onto one. Let's see if Blacklist overextends. If they do, Talon still has opportunities.
That's a fast Roshan. There's a 19-second timer on the Roshan. That's a bit of a blessing for Blacklist Rivalry. You would have hated to see a late Roshan as Blacklist, but they get the earliest you could possibly get, really. Just a matter of whether they're going to check the pit. And for now, they have not. So nobody knows Roshan's actually there.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Well, Kashi going to try and help WS clear out some Naga illusions. Song is committed. Who have they got? It's going to be Chuen. They found Akashi as well in the back. It could be a great start of this fight if Natsumi can take one of them down. They'll drop the Static Storm right onto the Primal Beast. The Nightmare will save the Sun Ray is there as well. The healing is just too much. It is too much. Chuen will survive. Abed is the one to go down. They're onto the Centaur. Gabby's in trouble. Gabby is probably set to fall. And he is gone. 4 down for the side of Blacklist. They've committed the buyback on the Disruptor. Natsumi's still in a bit of danger, hides in the low ground, but he's got nowhere to go. He has got nowhere to go. Chuen is going to find him. Cannot get the mirror images up to the high ground. And that'll be Natsumi to drop. And that's a huge blunder as well, because they never even scouted up the Roshan. They probably could have just started the Roshan instead.
I get the pressure. They want to make sure the Roche is a free one. But to lose that position around her ward, Chuen, he carried the gem right to that area. They knew there was vision. Ponyo, Jokam on this goddamn Phoenix, man. Holy Locket, Psychic Headband Hotspot. That healing outdid all of Abed's damage. Completely. It doesn't help that there's so much armor now on the side of Talon. They've got an AC running on WS, they've got the full Shivas up on Chuen, plus the Uproar when he can cast that. Not an easy target to really focus down there. And the damage from Akashi with a shard is overwhelming. He doesn't even care about the durability of Natsumi with a Butterfly Heart. They just have enough to rip through. And Abed's the bigger issue up front anyhow. They'll take the top. They can start setting up for bot. Respawns from Blacklist are short, so they can go for the final defense here. The Talon now 32k gold lead, 16 to 34. And this Phoenix, you're seeing why. This is a top tier first pick. This is a first phase ban. That hotspot, man. It's so much healing. Just add a little range and use the Holy Locket. Good God.
It's a lot. It is a hell of a lot. Talon, they're one game, or rather one racks away from winning out game number 1. Well, it feels like they're 1 racks away. Obviously, 1 racks will not just finish the game, but certainly puts you in a very strong position here for Talon. Blacklist rivalry nowhere near out of the game yet, but they are getting closer and closer to having to give up this game 1. See if they can find a high ground defense that really allows them the big comeback they're looking for. It is just very, very challenging if JoeCam doesn't get caught initially. Like, these static storms of just being dropped on one hero to try and burst them down, and you can completely understand the logic behind it, but if the Phoenix is just left to Sunray and Egg the whole time, you just haven't got enough. And now Akashi, he's going to find Gabby on the Centaur. Gabby is actually going to turn around. They will find the Aegis of the Weaver for now, but the Phoenix Group going to lock Gabby down. In fact, they will silence Saponyo. He's going to back off, but Gabby is already gone. Here comes the Sunray. Akashi this time is going to die, but no, he gets the time lapse with the buyback. He will time-lapse right after buying back, but it's the Song of Natsumi holding them back. Is Natsumi? Can he get away now? They'll lock him down with the Gleipnir. Meanwhile, WS, he'll take down Tips at the rock throw. Oh, it locks everyone down. Chuan setting up perfectly. They'll take down Natsumi. They'll find out it's a boot. What a rock throw from Chuan. And that should be about it. There's no buyback on Natsumi or Gabby. And they'll call it. GG is called. Game 1 will go the way of Talon Esports.
Such commanding fashion as well from Talon. Really strong gameplay coming out from him. This is the coordination we were lacking yesterday from Talon, right? Like, yesterday it looked shaky. They didn't know what they were doing. They were very lost. It wasn't even constant aggression from Aurora, right? Like, they were sitting back and farming. Talon was just under pressure because they drafted, like, high-tempo heroes. And this time, the tempo did pay off. We see Akashi joining in for these fights. But the coordination from Talon's there. WS is a hero he can play make on. For Blacklist, they looked uncoordinated this time around. It looked very hard for him to come back in after a slower start. There were still some really impressive plays from Natsumi, Zhao, and from Gabby as well. Landing some good hoof stomps, getting some good setups. There was some really good team fight